Well, that was an intro. I don't know why I thought.
Hello. So, welcome back to 20SomethingsTV, everybody. My name is Max, and this is season... I don't know which season this is anymore, but we have a lot of interesting things to talk about. Have you guys looked out the window recently?
It's a little snowy.
Is it? Oh.
And
Just a tad.
Yeah, we had a huge snowstorm yesterday. I couldn't leave the house at all. I was also the only one that shoveled at my house, as usual. But it was interesting to see because right by the water, we don't get snowstorms very often. But I'm wondering, is there a bigger picture to this all besides just our snowy Rhode Island getting, well, a lot of snow? Now, Sydney, you did mention that climate change may be a factor into it. I'd love to hear more.
Yeah, so oddly enough, I was conversing about this crazy weather we've been having lately with some coworker of mine, and she happens to work at a vet. And she was letting me know how all this crazy climate change lately is affecting this species known as the salt marsh sparrow, which is very popular in Newport. And because of all these crazy rising and storm surges are affecting the sea levels. So I guess these birds, their nests are getting flooded and they have nowhere to go. So there is definitely a bigger picture to look at here. Unfortunately, I'm not really sure what the fate of these birds are, but they are expected to go extinct within the next 30 years. So hopefully things turn around.
Now, Jenna, Natalie, or Michael, are you guys sparrowologists? Because I'm not really sure anything about birds.
I can't say I am. All I know is they work for the bourgeoisie.
Oh.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember too. Like, are they communists?
I think that's something that went viral on the internet once upon a time.
Birds work for the government, and that's all you need to know.
Oh, okay.
Which is why they're making them go extinct.
You know what? That's a very good point to make.
So wouldn't that mean, Sydney, flooding those sparrows' nests would be a good thing then? We're getting rid of the government drones.
I guess, you know what? If you look at it that way, there is a silver lining right there.
I don't know if we should be drowning the wildlife, to be completely honest with you. I mean, birds do lay eggs.
And Michael loves eggs. Eggs are Michael's favorite food, and they are
sparrow eggs?
How do you like your eggs, Michael?
Well, personally, I like them any different way. I'll eat them any way.
What's the best way?
I kind of like them just over easy, but I can't do that. I always make them rock hard. But there was a bird last year, and it had a broken wing. It might have been 2 years ago. It was in my front lawn, and I thought I could nurse it back to health. So I brought it in the house. I put it in a box. I filled the box with grass. It was all well and good until the bird started pooping on my couch, and then it died.
Yeah. In that order?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
What did you do with the bird after it died?
Gino, my dad, came home and threw it over the fence. He got pissed that I had a bird in the house.
Ah.
Yeah,
I mean, fair enough.
It is the thought that counts. So exactly. I might have contributed to the birds going extinct as well.
But now we're hearing that
at least you were there in his last moments.
I was, and we were cuddling on the couch. I'll find material to show you about this if you give me a few seconds. Keep talking.
Absolutely. So while Michael goes and finds his bird death certificate or something along those lines, we can talk about, too, how, this is happening right at the beginning of our new semester. We're only a week into, well, at least for some of us, it's supposed to be our final semester in all of college, but it's all snowy. We're in a lockdown still. There's still a pandemic going on. How are we supposed to juggle a pandemic and going to school now with hybrid classes while still having to deal with snowy roads that are barely plowed? Natalie, what's going on with that?
You just gotta plow through it, you gotta stay focused.
That was good.
Yeah, Michael liked the joke. Yeah, you just gotta find ways to de-stress and self-care, and you gotta self-motivate yourself to get your schoolwork done.
Now, I suck at self-motivation, so what should I do to motivate myself that works well for you?
Set small goals, for the amount of work you want to do per day. I like to write in a planner and just set time to relax and close the computer for the night.
That sounds fantastic. I mean, closing the computer can be really difficult for a lot of people, me especially. But Jenna, do you agree with that? Do you think self-motivation is the way to go, or should we just scream and cry on our pillows?
Well, personally, I kind of deal with both of those things, like, depending on how I'm feeling. Like, I was supposed to have an in-person class yesterday, and I was pretty upset about the fact that it got snowed out and I couldn't go because it felt like I had some structure to my day, especially with most of my classes being asynchronous. So even though this class is so late at night and it's kind of not dreaded, but kind of like, oh my God, I forgot I have a Zoom, it makes me look forward to having some sort of structure because it's one of my only synchronous meetings. So it's really nice to have that. And then I'll do all my work before this, and then as soon as this ends, I can close my computer for the night.
I think that that's something difficult right now, Max. Having so many classes that are asynchronous, like me, myself, I haven't been on campus since last March. And I have one class that's synchronous and this, so 2. But it's difficult trying to understand Brightspace for each class, making your own schedule, holding yourself accountable to that. And I was telling our producer and editor, Keith, earlier, one of my professors set up this Brightspace page. It is the most god-awful, disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. It's literally one link in a white page with links to like what we're supposed to do. It's hard to explain. We'll have to insert a clip of it later. But I think it really makes it difficult having to hold yourself accountable when you're used to the structure of going into class and being in person and having those reminders. It's kind of like, I don't want to say teaching yourself in a way, but you're doing a lot more of the legwork.
Right.
Now, you bring up a really good point, Michael, is that in the middle of all of this, we haven't been on campus essentially since March, like you said, but then we transition away from our old grading platform of Sakai to Brightspace in the middle of all this, seemingly out of nowhere. So how are we as students supposed to adapt around that? I'm sure the rest of you guys have stories about how not so great Brightspace is either, but what were the faculty thinking as this transition went by?
Listen, you can't always explain what other people are thinking. Faculty can switch us to, Brightspace from Sakai, and Narragansett can decide to screw us out of housing when we really need it. What are you going to do about it?
I'm not really sure many of them even did know about this change. Actually, one of my professors this semester is using Brightspace for the first time ever. So it's pretty funny. He is getting adjusted to, he just put our syllabus in, I think, yesterday.
Oh.
So it's a little frustrating, but we're all working with it.
It's a
I
struggle.
want to show you this,
It is the
this
struggle.
page. So this is my page. This is literally the entire class on one tab. I know you probably can't see it that well through my camera at all, actually, because it's a complete white page and it's not focusing.
Oh, there it is.
That is it.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
And each week, my professor adds another line. So that's what I'm dealing with. So it always says that everything's 100% complete because it's this one link, and that's it.
Does anyone else have a Brightspace page as bad as that? I think you have us beat, Michael.
Yeah, I
Can't
can't
say I do.
At least mine has pictures.
The transition to Brightspace wasn't as bad for me because I got first introduced to it last spring semester because it was a lab class and they transitioned all labs to Brightspace that semester just to kind of feel it out. And it was kind of nice that I can do my way around it, but the professors sure did not, and they sure still do not. I wish there was just a thing at the top that said Zoom link so I didn't have to go digging for it every week.
Oh, Zoom is another
That's
good one
issue.
too.
With the Zoom calls, some classes, the professors are able to set it up, like this one, another one of my synchronous classes, where it's the same link every week and it's recurring. I just made my own word. But for other classes, it's a different link every week, and sometimes I'm getting it 5-10 minutes before class starts, and I don't want to say that causes me any anxiety, but it's like, seriously, you can't plan this a little bit better? We've been doing this for how long now?
It's a very fair point. I mean, when it comes down to it, some classes even just give you a broken Zoom link. We were talking about it in the pre-show, how for one of my syllabi, I'm given a Zoom link, and then I try to go do it or go onto it, doesn't work. So I email the professor, doesn't respond, and so I don't know if I'm in the class anymore. I'm not sure if you guys have had any experiences. Natalie, have you experienced anything stupid as that?
No, all of my Zoom links have worked, and the transition's been pretty easy. I had Brightspace last spring, like Jenna, and the transition hasn't been too bad. I've had no issues getting onto Zoom, and all my professors are pretty good with emailing us the links in advance.
Apparently it's syllabuses.
No, I think that's wrong.
No, it's definitely syllabi.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not an English major.
I'm going to blow your mind with one simple word and explain why it is not syllabuses and it's syllabi. Ready? Octopuses. Yeah. It's not a thing.
Man, no, it's not no syllabuses, says 20SomethingsTV. Thank you for calling in. I mean, syllabus is Brightspace, Zoom. It all kind of sucks at the end of the day. But, Natalie, it does seem like you have it all figured out, though, with self-motivation, self-care, being able to have everything on your own end work. What is the secret to getting through college now that we have all these different online platforms?
I think it's different for everybody. I think once you find what works for you, you get into a routine and you get used to it, just like the initial transition to college.
The same way birds need to find their niche, we need to find our niche.
Right. We all have to become drones of the government.
Exactly.
But yeah, absolutely. So we talked about birds, we talked about the winter, we talked about a whole bunch of different things, but the big question at the end of the day, and I have a feeling this is going to be a running topic for our group especially, is going to be caffeine. Does caffeine motivate all of us as well, as much as maybe me, or is it a detrimental thing for us being so enclosed and asynchronous with the rest of the world?
I think that personally, college students as a whole always seem to run on caffeine, but it has definitely gotten worse within the COVID era because everything is just so up to us and we kind of have to make our own schedules. We're pulling those all-nighters. We're waking up at 6 a.m. just to meet those deadlines. And it's definitely a lot harder without specific deadlines and without having certain times to do something. So caffeine has definitely become more of my best friend.
Now, Sydney and Michael's housemate, you two both work at Starbucks, so I'm wondering, how much caffeine should I consume every day?
I have to say it really does depend on you individually. Everybody's
way too much.
different, so everybody can consume their own amounts of caffeine. I know I can only consume a certain amount before it actually starts to hurt a little bit in my heart, so I gotta pace myself with the caffeine. Some days I'll pour some more espresso shots than I need to.
Sydney,
But yeah, we'll give everybody a discount.
Isn't there, I could be wrong, and maybe this is just at one specific Starbucks, but is there such a rule that you can only provide X amount of nitro to a customer?
I was just about to say that.
Okay, yes, that's actually a very good one. We can only give as large as a medium size, which we call a grande, but some people do order a large, and we just will give it to them in a medium size, but add ice in a large cup. But technically, yes, the maximum size they can get is a medium for the nitro.
You're going to have to explain to me what a nitro is, because I have no idea.
That's a good question, too. So we have our regular cold brew, which is just cold brew, which is cold brew iced coffee cut with water. And then the nitro is it's actually also cut with, I want to say, nitrous oxide.
Oh?
Get me? I don't know the name of it.
It comes in frothy.
Yes, it comes in. We have to put them in these kegs, and it comes out of this really cool machine. It's definitely a nice, smooth way to drink your coffee. We don't put ice in it. It's very cool to look at.
Now, Jenna, you took a lab class. You helped explain to me what nitrous oxide is.
Unfortunately, chem is not my strong suit. I could tell you it's some sort of element, and it makes things
I know. I wish I knew more about it.
Natalie, what's nitrous oxide?
Yeah,
it's made to enhance the texture of the coffee.
The texture.
Yes. I'm gonna have a guest come on and speak to this.
Please, the guest.
Hi.
We need your help.
Yeah, no, please.
Hello, who are you?
I also work at Starbucks. I
Kingstown.
unfortunately live with Michael for that's a different story.
3
Anyway,
years, yeah.
Starbucks. I think it's nitrogen. I don't know. It's it comes out of this tube, and if you put it in the wrong order, the nitrogen just kind of explodes.
Is it like a whippet?
Right.
No, like a wire.
It can be scary. Yeah, you got to be careful.
When I was learning, I put it in the wrong way, and the cold brew went all over me because it exploded.
No, that's my worst fear.
So what do you do when it explodes all over you? Do you just change, or you just live with it, stay all sticky for the
You
rest of your
gotta cry.
okay.
You really gotta cry a little bit.
He came home
Part
from
of the
work
barista
wearing, I think, he wore 10 pounds of mocha on his jeans and all over his hands today. So
Yeah.
Starbucks
Oh,
is
yeah.
kind of a dirty job.
It's a messy job.
Ooh.
Yeah, you got to be ready to get dirty.
He gets real dirty.
How dirty? How dirty are we talking?
I make a spill every time I go in for a shift.
You got to bring a change of clothes with you.
Yep.
Huh.
Well,
The
that's a
apron
good
sometimes
thing we
is
wear
quite
aprons.
So I'm being hired as a Starbucks employee. What can I do to not horribly like get rid of like make all my clothes super messy?
I would say it's inevitable. I would say just get
Oh.
ready to get messy.
Covering myself in nitrous oxide. And
I think
milk.
my first shift ever, I went to go blend a Frappuccino without the lid on, and it went everywhere. So
That's terrible.
it sucked.
Did it get all over the customers?
Luckily, no, but it did go
Oh.
all over the counter, all over me. I wanted to cry, but I couldn't. It was my first shift. I cried when I got home.
That's absolutely insane. I mean, I never knew there was so much that went into, being what's the term? Is it a barista? Barista. Okay.
Barista.
I didn't know there was so much to go into it. You go in super messy. It's like it's like I don't even know. It's not being an essential worker. It's like a thankless job almost. Getting all covered in mocha grindings and stuff. I'm not much of a coffeeologist. I just know how to make it.
Always thank your barista via tips.
But
Very
I heard,
true.
listen, Jenna, I heard that
myself.
when you tip on the app, which is what I always do because I never have cash on me.
I don't believe in that. I always tip in cash.
Well, I never have cash, and I heard that when I tip on the app, it doesn't necessarily ever get to where I want it to go.
I don't think it does. I think we only accept cash tips. I didn't know tipping on the app was possible.
Yeah,
I don't know where
when
that
you're
goes.
done.
It's kind of a scam.
Says, would you like to tip?
When you're done, or even if you pay in
Weird.
store, once they scan, it says receipt tip available, and you can click it, and then you can put the amount. And he's worked before, and I've felt bad for him because he's a poor college student.
Right.
I've tipped $5, and then I find out it doesn't even get to him. So
I wonder if it goes to like the app people. Like, I don't think it goes to the baristas.
Wow. Exposing Starbucks one show at a time.
So like, okay, hold on. I
Who
had
is
it in my
Alan
brain.
Schultz?
Is that the CEO of Starbucks?
So like, when you like, is getting tipped at Starbucks good, or do they all pull it together and you divide up the tips, or is it something stupid like that?
We do pull it together and cut it up, but I will say it does have its good weeks. Sometimes our customers, we have our regulars, they're very loyal to us. They're very nice. It's like on holidays, they'll give us some bigger tips. So I've definitely walked out with like almost close to $100, which is good for Starbucks tips, considering
What's the average?
through. I want to say like on like a regular week, it'd be like 20 or 30, depending on how many hours you work. So it
Okay,
definitely
that's not
depends
bad.
on the week and how
Interesting. So
generous
if
our
I'm-
customers are feeling.
So I'm not sure if anyone else works a job similar to Starbucks outside of that scope, but I'm wondering, how is Starbucks compared to other jobs like in retail or baristaism? If that's like a good job, if it's higher level, or if it's kind of like in that middle tier. Jenna, do you work as a barista or anything like that?
I have never had barista experience. I have had a lot of retail experience, and I will never go back ever.
I love retail.
No, I worked at
No.
2 different clothing stores, and there's just too many creepy people. Too many people who want it their way. Like, sorry, I can't pull a coupon out of the Great Beyond. Like, people just want everything done for them, and it just can't happen.
When I was working at a clothing store too, I had this really sweaty old man come up to me. He was bald, he was a large dude, he was red all over, and he was huffing and puffing everywhere he went.
Was it
And he just
Santa?
goes, almost. He acted like Santa, but he walked up to me. Oh, I'm sorry, he waddled up to me, and he was like, "I really like your shoes. This is some damn good shoes." And I'm like an 18-year-old kid at
Weird
this point.
content.
I know, and they're just like $15 Steve Madden shoes, and I'm like, "Oh, thank you." There's Steve Madden's. They're like $2. He's like, "I'll give you $150 for them. Just meet me in the parking garage when you can."
You
And I'm
should
like,
have.
No.
I should have. I really should have. I think right now that might be my number one regret in my life.
Yeah,
Could have
But
been
I wouldn't have any other
$150 richer.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm not sure if anyone else has any experiences like that when it comes to retail or just working. I can only imagine.
I've had someone come up to me and offer to read a book with me because apparently I seem illiterate or something like that. He told me he had a great book on how to live your life and save money. I was 17 at the time, and he was like, "Oh, we can go read this book together, maybe over dinner." And I said, "Sir, I'm 17," and then he walked away.
That is the weirdest way to ask somebody out.
Yeah.
Like reading a book, like at dinner.
Well,
Like,
this
how
is
do you even
fun.
respond to that? Was it his book?
I didn't read the book.
Oh, okay.
But I was
Speaking
going
of
to say,
jobs.
speaking of jobs and books, a big controversy going right now is teachers and the COVID vaccine. Many people are saying like these people with random healthcare connections are able to just walk on in and get a vaccine, but teachers who are trying to be in the classroom with gross little kids for 8 hours a day aren't able to. And I just think it's a really big issue that kind of needs to be solved.
What kind of solution do you think you have for that?
Make more vaccines, which obviously isn't like that possible, and I can't do anything about that. But just make sure they're going to the right people.
Do you guys have any other solutions, Sydney, Michael?
I'm
you
getting
have
my
your hand up?
vaccine on Saturday.
Well, you work
Ooh,
with the elderly.
I work with the elderly, so I finally got the email and I signed up, and I will be getting my first dose Saturday at 2 p.m. in Cranston.
That's
and then like 2 weeks after you take the second dose,
I
right?
think I got signed up to have the Moderna version of the vaccine. I'm pretty sure that it's 28 days after the first dose is when I get the second one. The Pfizer version, I think, is a little bit shorter span of time before the second dose, but it is within a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks.
I hear you can get sick if you get the second dose.
So that's what I've been told by people. They said the first one, just like a normal shot, maybe your arm sore, but they said after the second one, you'll probably get sick for like a day after it. But you know what? I am totally fine with that. Like I said, I work with the elderly population. God forbid I were to get them sick, they were to get me sick. I bring it home to my friends, my own grandparents. It's avoidable, so I have absolutely no problem getting it. I'm very excited.
Is anyone else vaccinated?
not yet.
No. I'm on the wait list.
I can't say that I am. My mom, though, is a school teacher. So she actually, her school, it has the option to get vaccinated. It's like a optional thing for them, but it's not mandatory. But she told me she is definitely getting it. So
That's
it's exciting. Excited for her.
I have a question for you because my dad also works in a school and he has not had to get tested for COVID a single time this year. Has your mother been tested at all?
Yes. Yeah, she has to get tested. I think weekly or at least like once or twice a week.
That's
Pretty
interesting.
often.
You know, we do it as students at URI, and I just always thought it was interesting that my dad and my brothers, they're in the same school district. Neither of them have been tested. They haven't been tested once since this all started.
Definitely.
And I'm getting tested this week. So
I wonder if it's if you don't mind me asking, are they in Rhode Island? Because my mom's down in Connecticut, so I'm wondering if the state is different.
Yeah, my family's in Rhode Island.
Okay.
I'm wondering why it is different because I know a lot of other places in Rhode Island you have to get tested quite a bit. So if you don't mind, Michael, can you tell us where they're from, or is that too much?
I can.
Who's wearing it?
I actually am wearing it. I didn't realize it. My family's Barrington, Rhode Island.
Oh yes.
Why don't sound so disappointed? Jeez.
Barrington is like that one city. It's like it's almost like Wyoming, Rhode Island, where you've heard of it, but then you're just like, oh yeah, that's a city in Rhode Island, I guess.
It's a town.
A town. Okay. Do we have any cities in Rhode Island besides Providence?
Cranston.
Cranston's a city?
Yeah.
Warwick. Warwick's a city?
Where have you guys been?
I don't know. Warwick Town?
Jenna's from New York and she knows.
The city that never sleeps.
That's the best part of it.
Yeah, no beds.
But how are the vaccines down in New York? I know the virus used to be really bad down there. Has it been better now that the vaccine's out?
So the epicenter of the virus was near Shell, which I live 20 minutes away from. It's like 2 towns over for me. And Michael and Natalie actually happened to be visiting me in that first or second weekend of March when COVID really started to hit the fan. And it was kind of scary. We were all a little scared. But like, I don't really know how vaccines are going down there because I kind of got back here as soon as they started becoming more widespread. But I do know a few people have gotten vaccinated and nothing but good things so far.
That's good. That's really good. I haven't heard any bad cases of anyone being vaccinated either. But I'm wondering, as soon as each of you are able to get vaccinated, Michael aside, because you're pretty much already there, Sydney, are you going to get vaccinated when you're able to?
When and if I become able to, yeah, I have no reason not to. I definitely think that it could only lead to good things. Hopefully, we can only hope.
You know, it's crazy. Even a year ago when we were doing this TV show, Michael, the whole world was completely different. We were making fun of the coronavirus for being so far away and something that would never affect us. And then 2 weeks later, it came back and got
I
us.
will say, as my final point, because I don't care where we are in this conversation, I need to pee in like a minute.
Fair.
I do too.
We're all gonna get up and pee in 1 minute. So when we were in the classroom last spring, about a year ago, Max and I were in the same class,
Yep.
and when it was first coming out, we had the whole discussion, the debate over like, is this something that's going to be like the flu? Why are people making such a big deal about it? And I believe this was actually the last class I had in person. It was what day of the week? Monday night. Yeah, Monday night.
Right before spring break.
Right before spring break, and that was the last time I stepped foot on the URI campus for a class. So we did not see this coming, and obviously the most important thing to remember for the general audience is stay safe, wear your mask, protect your elders, and just do the right thing. Everyone knows the right thing to do. Make sure you do the right thing. I'm getting up to pee. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Michael.
Oh, that's one
Enjoy.
gone. If anyone else needs a break,
I'm gonna use this break as well.
fair enough. Maybe this would be a great time to wrap up the episode as well. I think this has been a successful first non-pilot episode that we've had so far. We've gone over a whole bunch of other variety of topics that we weren't planning on, and even then, it has been amazing. Of course, there's gonna be another group coming on by. I'm sorry, everybody left.